On this week's episode of Ride the Lightning, the Tesla and EV podcast, it has been a wild week of FSD news, from Tesla discontinuing basic autopilot on new car purchases, to Tesla CEO saying the price of FSD will go up as unsupervised arrives, to unsupervised actually arriving for the first couple of test cars in the Austin robotaxi fleet, at least. Plus, one insurance company wants to drastically lower the rates of Tesla owners who make frequent use of FSD. The Cybercab gets a camera-related upgrade that Tesla customers have wanted for a while now, and more. What's happening, friends? Ryan McCaffrey joining you for episode 547 of Ride the Lightning, the weekly Tesla and EV podcast, publishing on January 25th, 2026. I'm recording as usual on Friday evening here on January 23rd. And boy, I sure hope no other FSD-related news happens between the time I record this and the time that I publish it and the time that you hear it, because there has been so much FSD-related news this week. We've got a super busy episode planned for you. Next week, by the way, will be the earnings call, the Q4 earnings call for Tesla, which means I'll be doing my usual thing of giving you all the highlight clips, the analysis from the call itself, as well as the shareholder letter. So stay tuned for that on next week's episode. But I do want to start, before I get to all the FSD-related stuff, with a spicy tip that was sent my way. I do want to preface this one by saying that this is a secondhand source. I have firsthand sources that sometimes slip me bits of information that I feel really confident in reporting to you and passing along. This one being a secondhand source that I don't already have an established relationship with. I can't 100% say this is absolutely going to happen. So I can't vouch for this one yet, but I'm going to pass it along with that caveat, and then we'll see if this source proves themselves to be reliable. So the tip is this. This source told me that the Model Y L will go on sale in the United States next month, meaning in February, and that Tesla's higher-up sales team, the sales leadership team, is currently working on the messaging for the boots-on-the-ground sales team about how to position it next to the Model X. So again, fingers crossed that this source is correct, and I guess we'll know in about a month or so from now. All right, to get started, I promised a lot of FSD-related stuff, so here we go, buckle up. Following up to last week's story about FSD going subscription only. Remember when I was talking about not recommending that anybody buy it before the full $8,000 option goes away on February 14th? Because we just don't have any assurances that FSD transfer would be available long-term when you're ready to trade in that car? Well, it turns out that we don't have any assurances that FSD transfer will even be available in the short term. Our Tesla tipster friend Sawyer Merritt posted on X this week saying, quote, Tesla has started to inform customers in the US that free FSD transfer will end on March 31st, 2026, which of course is the end of the quarter. And sure enough, Tesla made it very official by sending out emails to customers about this. I got one of those emails, and you might have too. Now, Tesla has done this many times before, where they've ended FSD transfer at the end of a quarter, only to turn around and offer it again a little ways into the next quarter. And so maybe it is possible that that will happen again here. And to be clear, I hope it does. But for the moment, we have to take Tesla at face value and presume that, at least for now, that the FSD transfer option is gone forever after March 31st. And then we got a little bit more this week. Sawyer posted again later in the week with, quote, "So this is interesting. Tesla is telling U.S. customers that they must place their order by March 31st to qualify for free FSD transfer, but can take delivery later." He says that's different from Tesla's previous policy, which required customers to take delivery by the end of the quarter to lock it in. So if that is indeed the actual final said and done policy, what does that mean? If I have this correct, it means that the option to purchase FSD still goes away after February 14th, but if you already have FSD and want to transfer it to a new car, you have to place the order for that new car by March 31st. So that is the latest update on this. We'll see if we get any more clarity on this over the next couple of weeks as February 14th approaches. Well, I made this the subject, of this week's Patreon poll, part of this ongoing FSD strategy change. And I'll note just real quick here, because it'll make sense in a few minutes when I get to the next story, that I posted this Patreon poll earlier in the week. So the question was, how do you feel about Tesla's move to subscription only for FSD? Thank you to the 368 people that kindly took the time to stop by my Patreon page to vote here. A reminder that the Patreon polls that I post each week are free to anybody. You don't have to be supporting me at all on Patreon. You don't have to be giving me a dime. So just swing on by patreon.com/Tesla podcast. The new poll typically goes up on Tuesday evenings. And the winner of this week's poll, 43%, it was pretty decisive. It was more than 2-1 over the next most voted option. 43% of you voted, "I worry this will open the door to raised prices on FSD and or a second higher priced tier when unsupervised FSD arrives." Again, keep that in the back of your mind for a couple minutes. 22%, the next most voted option in the poll, was, "I'm not bothered by the removal of the purchase option for FSD." 14% of you said, "I would have preferred to buy FSD on my next Tesla, so this stinks." 9% of you said, "I wasn't planning to buy FSD, but removing choices isn't great for customers." And then just 4% said, "I think this will lead to lower monthly FSD prices." And it's hold that thought for a second as well. Thanks again to everybody that kindly took the time to stop by and vote in this week's Patreon poll. So, as teased there on a related note, sure enough, towards the end of the week, Tesla dropped basic autopilot. The aforementioned Sawyer Merritt caught the change on the Tesla design studio and posted, quote, "Tesla has officially discontinued autopilot in the US and Canada. All new car purchases now come standard with traffic-aware cruise control. The online configurator has now been updated to allow buyers to choose the $99 per month FSD subscription, while still offering the option to purchase FSD outright for $8,000 until February 14th. New Tesla vehicle purchases still come with a 30-day free trial of FSD supervised," end quote. And of course, as a footnote to this, Model S, Model X, and Cyber Beast specifically have FSD included with those cars because those cars have the Lux package, at least for now, still force bundled on those cars. I have often said that I think Tesla typically does the right thing for customers, and, well, let's just be clear here. I don't think this is the right thing for customers. In fact, the discontinuing of basic autopilot has seen a wave of negativity through the Tesla community as a whole that I have not seen in quite a while. Because there's a swath of people out there that will defend a lot. They're just, whether it's they're super invested in the stock or they just are willing to ride or die with Elon no matter what, whatever it is, there are usually people that will just defend anything the company does. And again, as I've said many times on this podcast, I do feel like historically Tesla has usually done right by their customers. But this, discontinuing Autopilot, this ain't it. Well, Elon Musk did respond to Sawyer's post saying, quote, "I should also mention that the $99 per month for FSD supervised will rise as FSD's capabilities improve. The massive value jump is when you can be on your phone or sleeping for the entire ride in unsupervised FSD." Now, in fairness, this is not the first time that Elon has said this. He's said before that the price will go up as functionality improves and builds up. So it's not shocking in that regard. But that said, for right now, or I guess rather after February 14th, not only are fears about price increases very valid, but on top of that, check out this sad but true statement that dawned on me about all of this. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but here we go. A 2019 Tesla has more standard safety features than a 2026 Tesla. Or if you want to frame it another way, here you go. A 2026 Toyota Corolla comes with more standard Autopilot equivalent features, meaning lane keeping, than a 2026 Tesla does. And again, the reaction in the Tesla community online has been overwhelmingly negative on this so far, and understandably so. Understandably so. There is no defending this as far as I'm concerned. Now, regarding Elon's stated intention to raise the price as we get towards unsupervised, I think it's highly likely that we do indeed end up with 2 tiers of FSD, as was mentioned and voted on by a lot of you in this week's Patreon poll, which again I put up before this piece happened. So I think we're probably looking at a fairly likely scenario of having 2 tiers of pricing for FSD, supervised and unsupervised. My hope, which I admit is probably a naive one, but not completely unrealistic, is that when unsupervised is finally rolled out, that it stays at $99 per month and that supervised FSD drops to $49 per month. Because after all, part of Elon's new pay package is to get to 10 million active FSD subscribers. And obviously, you'll get there a heck of a lot quicker with 2 tiers, and one of those tiers being fairly affordable, even if that tier is a supervised tier. And I will say that's assuming that supervised would count towards his pay package milestone. We don't know if there's specific wording in that deal that says it's got to be unsupervised or that supervised would be acceptable. But so that I admit I can't know, right? We're not going to know the answer to that. Finally, and certainly anybody who's paid in full for FSD dang well better get unsupervised for paying the money, whether it was $8,000, $10,000, $12,000, or $15,000. Because if not, I suspect there will be a whole lot of dissatisfied, or dare I say even angry customers, and probably a class action lawsuit to go with it. I will say I'm honestly not worried about it. I don't think Tesla would be so bold as to try and make the people that already paid pay again for that. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm being naive here. Maybe, I don't know. I hope not. But I have to believe in my heart of hearts that I think it's fair to call us early adopters that spent the full money, again, 8, 10, 12, 15K, that is going to be honored as full payment for unsupervised FSD when it finally arrives. All right. In better news, Tesla has taken another meaningful step towards fully autonomous robotaxis as the first couple of cars in Austin have the safety monitor moved out of the car and, for full transparency, into a chase car. So there is still a safety monitor, but no longer in the car. Ex-user TSLA99T posted a video on X of himself riding in the back of a robotaxi in Austin with no one else in the car. Tesla's AI boss, Ashok Elaswamy, responded to that post on X and said, quote, "Robotaxi rides without any safety monitors are now publicly available in Austin, starting with a few unsupervised vehicles mixed in with the broader robotaxi fleet with safety monitors, and the ratio will increase over time." So it has, again, despite what Ashok said there, it has been confirmed that there is a safety monitor in a chase car for the time being. As again, this is not me. I'm not mad or upset or attacking Tesla here. Tesla is moving through this, taking each step extremely cautiously, as they absolutely should here. So while, again, the safety monitors, what was that word going to be? I don't know. So while the safety monitors have been removed from the actual robotaxi itself, they're not removed from the equation entirely. But still, this is pretty awesome. I mean, the robotaxi launched in Austin in, I believe it was late June last year, if memory serves. So it's only about almost exactly 7 months ago. And in just 7 months, Tesla has already gotten this far. I mean, we are watching, this is going to sound hyperbolic, but we are watching historic progress in real time here. Now, I say that, I'm grounding myself back down to earth by noting that, yes, Waymo deserves a ton of credit for building their network and operating fully autonomously in a number of markets, including in Austin. But it is a taxi-only service. What makes this historic progress for Tesla is that you can't own a Waymo or turn your own car into a Waymo. That's what makes the ceiling of Tesla's robotaxi network so much higher in terms of its benefit to customers. So that's what I mean here when I say that we're watching historic progress in real time, and it's really cool. And you know, it's funny, I was just talking to somebody about this the other day, because I remembered that we had been told, Elon had posted, we'd been led to expect that around the beginning of the year that the safety monitor would be removed from the robotaxi. And I was talking to somebody who was saying, yeah, what happened to that? What's going on with that? We haven't had any update there in a while. And well, sure enough, now we've got one. And in fairness, we are still technically in the beginning of the year. It's January 23rd as I record this. So now it does, I don't know about any of you, but to me, it really, the beginning of the year officially, like New Year's, was only a few weeks ago, but to me it feels like a few months ago. It's been a strangely long start of the year so far. But anyway, I do want to say congratulations in all sincerity to the Tesla AI team on this significant next step towards fully autonomous robotaxi fleets, and thus fully autonomous cars that we own right now. So, and as, by the way, as a bonus for Tesla, it's also fairly serendipitous timing for the earnings call coming up this week. You can expect to hear Tesla champion this within the shareholder letter, and I'm sure Elon will mention it in his opening statement on the earnings call that they have achieved this, and they should celebrate it. They deserve to. Next this week, Tesla full self-driving is getting something of an outrageous insurance offer, but outrageous in a good way for once. with insanely cheap rates that will slash the cost of coverage by up to 50%. I saw this story on Teslarati, though it was picked up pretty much everywhere. This made news all over the place. Teslarati says, Lemonade, a digital insurance company, has launched its first-of-a-kind product known as Lemonade Autonomous Car Insurance, and it is starting with an exclusive offer to FSD customers. The new offer will cut rates for FSD-engaged driving by, quote, approximately 50%, highlighting the data that shows a significant safer driving environment when the suite is activated and engaged. The company also said it plans to introduce even cheaper rates as Tesla continues to release more advanced FSD versions through software updates. Tesla's been releasing new FSD versions every few weeks. I don't know if it's quite that frequent, but anyway, highlighting vast improvements for those who have the latest AI4 chipset. The announcement comes just a few months after Lemonade co-founder and president Shai Wininger said that he wanted to insure FSD vehicles for, quote, almost free, end quote. He said that Tesla's API complemented Lemonade's AI-based platform because it provides, quote, richer and more accurate driving behavior data than traditional UBI devices, end quote. In mid-December, Lemonade then offered Tesla owners in California, Oregon, and Arizona the opportunity to connect their vehicles directly to the company's app, which would provide a direct connection and would require a separate telematics device, which is required with other insurance providers who offer rates based on driving behaviors. This latest development between Lemonade and Tesla is something that Wininger believes will be different because of the advanced nature of FSD. Quote, traditional insurers treat a Tesla like any other car and AI like any other driver. But a car that sees 360 degrees, never gets drowsy, and reacts in milliseconds can't be compared to a human, end quote. Don't disagree with any of that. He went on to say that the existing pay-per-mile product has given the company something that no traditional insurer has been able to offer. This comes through Lemonade's, quote, unique tech stack designed to collect massive amounts of real driving data for precise dynamic pricing, end quote. The reputation that FSD has gathered over the past few years is really impressive. Wininger backed this with some more compliments, saying, quote, Teslas driven with FSD are involved in far fewer accidents. By connecting to the Tesla onboard computer, our models are able to ingest incredibly nuanced sensor data that lets us price our insurance with higher precision than ever before, end quote. The product will begin its official rollout in Arizona on January 26th. Oregon will get it a month later. Thank you to Teslarati for that one. Now, before I comment further, I just do want to clarify, not that any of you would question me here, I don't think, but I don't have any affiliation with Lemonade, nor, for that matter, do I even know if they're any good. I mean, they might be a terrible fly-by-night insurance company for all I know. So when I'm talking about this, it's not with endorsement or the opposite of endorsement. But I bring this up, I read the story to you because I do think what they're doing here is a relevant Tesla news story. Because this company is getting access to basically FSD data right at the source of the car. And if more insurance companies start to do this, it will give those companies the same data that Lemonade is gathering and lead them to the same conclusion that Lemonade came to. That being that driving with FSD is definitively safer than driving without it, and thus you get significantly lower rates when using it. Because the big brain move here, whether you end up giving Lemonade a try and or other insurance companies end up jumping in on this, is that FSD could end up paying for itself via your lower monthly insurance premiums, right? That's the potential economic case to be made here, and that's pretty cool. So if any of you in Arizona or Oregon decide to try this out, I would love to hear from you maybe like after your first month, after your first bill arrives, and after you kind of get a sense for how the service goes and how the billing is handled. Before I get to the rest of this week's Tesla news, and yes, it's more FSD related stuff, I wanted to mention another sort of follow-up from last week. So remember on last week's podcast, I talked about the Euro NCAP crash test ratings on the Model 3 and the Model Y and how awesome they were. Well, this week, same cars, different regional ratings board, same result. Tesla scored super well down in Australia and New Zealand. Another tip of the cap to Teslarati, which is where I saw this story, and they said, according to ANCAP in a press release, that's the Australia and New Zealand version of the crash test ratings organization or regulator, in a press release, the Model Y achieved the highest overall weighted score of any vehicle assessed in 2025. ANCAP's 2025 tests evaluated vehicles across 4 key pillars: adult occupant protection, child occupant protection, vulnerable road user protection, and safety assist technologies. The Model Y posted consistently strong results in all 4 categories, distinguishing itself through a system-based safety approach that combines structural crash protection with advanced driver assistance features such as autonomous emergency braking, lane support, and driver monitoring. This marked the second time the Model Y has topped ANCAP's annual safety ratings. The Model Y's previous version, meaning the Gen 1 Model Y, was also ANCAP's top performer in 2022. The Tesla Model 3 also delivered a strong performance in ANCAP's 2025 tests, contributing to Tesla's broader safety presence across segments. Similar to the Model Y, the Model 3 also earned impressive scores across the ANCAP's 4 pillars. This made the vehicle the top performer in the medium car category. Well, I have nothing to add here to what I already said last week, except I'm not surprised, and you're not surprised either. We know, right? We know how safe these cars are. That said, while we're kind of on this subject, in the interests of fairness, this does kind of tie in nicely to something that listener Steve W. sent me this week, which was a kind of a surprising story until I really started reading all the way down into it. And then I think it started to make sense, and I think it'll make sense for you too. So get this. Steve sent me this story that says that the fatality rate, meaning the worst case scenario of any accident, so not accident rate, but actual fatality rate, is much higher in Teslas than any other brands. So here's the information from a brand ranking table based on a study by iCars.com analyzing U.S. fatality analysis reporting system data from 2017 to 2022. It shows the brands with the highest occupant fatality rates per billion miles driven. And unfortunately, Tesla leads the list with 5.6 fatal accidents per billion miles, which they note is nearly, in fact, not nearly, it is, double the industry average of 2.8. Other brands in the top 5 include Kia, right neck and neck with Tesla at 5.5 fatal accidents per billion miles, Buick at 4.8, Dodge at 4.4, and Hyundai at 3.9. Now, the study says experts suggest that these high fatality rates may reflect driver behavior as much or more than the vehicle's safety design. And also that despite Tesla's high crash test safety ratings, on-road safety outcomes for the brand are among the worst. So looking at this list, again, I wanted to bring this up in all fairness, because yes, I'm an enthusiast of this stuff, but we got to be fair here. Looking at this list, I have to imagine that, as the experts themselves noted in this study, that driver behavior is playing a huge part here. Because after all all of you know that these cars are very powerful. Even the quote-unquote vanilla versions, the non-performance versions of Teslas, they're all really powerful cars, and that the instant acceleration can no doubt cause poor decision-making at times. That argument could also explain why Kia and Hyundai are on this list too, since both of those companies make a ton of EVs. In fact, I would argue that both of those companies are known more today for their EVs than for their internal combustion engine cars. And thus, what I just said about Tesla and driver behavior would apply to them as well. Dodge, they don't make EVs, or at least hardly any EVs, but Dodge definitely has a reputation for being the brand that, let's just say, a lot of dumb things happen in. And what I mean by that, and I did look this up, I wasn't just going off of memory of anecdotes I've heard or what have you. I looked this up, and sure enough, this was the most recent data I can find, but it's still relatively recent. Back in 2020, so still this decade, I found a study that showed that Dodge Ram 2500 drivers, so specifically the Dodge Ram 2500, those drivers have the most DUIs, and it's of any other car, and it's more than twice the national average. So all of that is to say, I'm not trying to pick on Dodge or Dodge owners, I'm making the point here of saying that it sure does look like driver behavior does play an outsized, significant role in these fatality numbers. It's still not a great statistic, don't get me wrong. This is not a list that you want to be on at all, let alone be at the top of. And more constructively, I wonder what, if anything, Tesla can do to address it. I mean, the cars are already engineered to be as safe as they can be, but they're also capable of going pretty fast and accelerating very quickly as well. So the one thing that comes to mind, which Tesla is very much already doing, is continuing to push autonomy, right? If autonomy is safer than human driving, Tesla keeps pushing that. Of course, getting rid of basic autopilot isn't an awesome way to continue down that road, but we've already covered that. I'm not gonna go back to that. But anyway, I thought that was worth bringing up while we were talking about the awesome crash ratings. There's the sort of other darker side to that for when humans are actually operating these cars. Before I get back to this week's Tesla news, again, yes, more FSD robotaxi related stuff, I hope all of you who are kindly supporting me on Patreon at that $10 per month tier or higher enjoyed this week's Lightning Round mini episode, which was a conversation with listener Jonathan from the UK, who shared his really fun story about being an early Model X owner in the UK and driving his car right up through now, he still has it, all over Europe. He had a really interesting story to tell. I've been trying to chat with one listener per month on the Lightning Rounds because I enjoy hearing people's Tesla stories and their EV stories. And I think I've now done 4 or 5 of these, something like that. I'm having fun with them. I hope you guys are enjoying listening to them. And I'll note that this week's Lightning Round, I'll tell you right now what it is because I haven't recorded it yet. I'm going to do it this weekend, but I'm going to get it up early, super early for those folks on Patreon, because I'm going to do the thing I've been doing the last few quarters, which is the 5 questions that I would ask on the quarterly earnings call that's coming up this week. So I haven't looked at what's been upvoted the most so far. So what I'm going to do on that lightning round is come up with my 5, and then on that lightning round, take a look at what the 5 currently most upvoted ones are, and we'll kind of compare and take a look, and then we'll have an idea of what's going to be asked of Elon and the Tesla executive team at this week's upcoming earnings call. So again, you can join me on Patreon if you'd like to hear those. There's It's upwards of 200 lightning rounds now. Goodness knows how many hours of extra content that is. If you'd like to support the podcast, I'd be so humbled and grateful. You can go to my Patreon page at patreon.com/Tesla podcast to learn more. If $10 a month, if you don't think I'm worth that, hey, no worries. There's also a base $5 per month tier. And for the $5 a month, you get an ad-free episode every week, and you get early access to that ad-free episode. As soon as I'm done making it tonight, it gets uploaded and you can listen to it right away. So join me over on Patreon if you can. I'm at patreon.com/Tesla podcast. Also, again, wanted to repeat what I was talking about last week for my Rivian friends out there. A word from my friends at Accelerate Auto and their XCare extended warranty option. If you're planning to keep your Rivian long term, you already know repairs, suspension, electronics, that stuff's not cheap once the factory coverage ends. So that is why I continue to partner with XCare, an extended protection option built specifically for EVs, including Rivian. I'm on my second policy now on our my 2018 Model 3 Performance. Been super happy to have that just there supporting me just in case anything happens. And it's available for those of you with Rivians as well. So right now, Rivian owners can get $200 off of coverage when purchasing online using the referral code BDRRTL at checkout. That's BDRRTL. And if you'd like to combine that $200 discount with 12 months of 0% financing, that option is available with the help of an XCare specialist. To get started, visit xcare.com. That's XCARE.com. And enter BDRRTL at checkout, or talk to a human being by calling 844-755-4186. It's the smart way to lock in protection early, avoid surprises later with one of the most trusted EV protection options in the industry. All right, getting back to what is clearly the running theme of this week's episode, FSD and robotaxi stuff, Tesla has introduced a rear camera washer system for the Cybercab, thus fixing one of the most frequently cited complaints from owners. Saw this one on Drive Tesla Canada, who wrote, "This is the first time Tesla has equipped a vehicle with a dedicated washer for its rear camera, a feature many believe should have been included years ago, which means Tesla may be planning to bring similar improvements to the rest of its lineup. While we have yet to see it in action, evidence of the new feature was spotted on a Cybercab undergoing cold weather testing in Chicago by an Instagram user, where road salt, slush, and grime had apparently coated the rear camera and made it nearly unusable. However, this was no problem for Cybercab, as you can clearly see in the image, washer fluid runoff cascading from the camera down the rear bumper." Now, this does make perfect sense for a vehicle that will have to be operated fully autonomously, right? It relies exclusively on its camera array. You just can't have dirt, mud, snow, or any other grime obscuring the rear camera view for the Cybercab. And so yes, as the Drive Tesla Canada folks started to get at there, the natural next question is, will this rear camera washer come to the rest of the fleet? We all know that Tesla prefers not to add parts whenever possible. They, of course, have a long history of doing the opposite and deleting them instead. But hey, if full autonomy is what this company is all in on, as they have repeatedly stated, then they have got to add the washer if it's going to mean the difference between autonomous driving being degraded in certain weather conditions or even potentially interrupted altogether. And so I think, and history certainly suggests, that yes, the other vehicles in the lineup will get this camera washer. At the very, very least, I hope the Cybertruck does. Even though, yes, it's a lower volume vehicle for Tesla right now, but it's the off-road capable vehicle, and you shouldn't have to go wipe off your camera before getting back on the road after doing some off-roading. and thus you want to let FSD take you home in your Cybertruck after your day of off-roading is done. But I do think that the odds are good that it comes to the entire rest of the fleet as well. When is anybody's guess, but odds are with the Cybercab due to go into production soon, it'll probably be sooner than later, at least with the Cybercab, because it's due to go into production in April. So it's quite likely that every production Cybercab will have that rear camera washer on it. So hopefully that's around the time we can start looking for it to show up on the rest of the fleet as well. In other words, sometime in Q2. Because, it might not be an all-at-once thing. Like, it might not suddenly be that all 6 with the Cybercab, that all 6 production vehicles have the rear camera washer. It could be a situation where the supplier of that rear camera washer assembly has to ramp up a bit to meet Tesla's demand. So it could be the Cybercab first, which we already know is going to be super low volume in the beginning. And then maybe it goes to Cybertruck next, S and X, the lower volume vehicles, before ultimately, hopefully, coming to the Model 3 and the Model Y as well. Next up this week, I have one more FSD-related story for you this week, and it's an interesting one. It's that Tesla just revealed a breakthrough that could extend the life of Hardware 3 cars, meaning extend the autonomous capable life of the FSD, of the Hardware 3 cars. Another tip of the cap to Drive Tesla Canada, who wrote, a newly published Tesla patent suggests the company may have found a way to stretch the life of its Hardware 3 computers without swapping out a single chip. On January 15th, 2026, Tesla published a patent, and there's a big long alphanumeric code for it, titled Bit Augmented Arithmetic Convolution, first shared and explained by ex-user TSLAMING, Tesla Ming, I guess. While the name sounds intimidating and like it has nothing to do with FSD, the goal is simple. Let modern high-precision AI models run on older, lower-precision hardware using clever math and software instead of requiring brand new silicon. This creates a realistic upgrade path where AI3 can be pushed toward AI4 class capability using software alone, rather than forcing Tesla to abandon millions of older vehicles or hold back its newest neural networks. The same advanced FSD software can scale across AI3, AI4, and future AI5 systems, just with different efficiency levels. This approach means Tesla doesn't have to choose between abandoning older cars or holding back its newest AI models. The same sophisticated software stack can evolve forward while still running on AI3, preserving a meaningful upgrade path for existing owners without upgrading the computer. Now, I should clarify that was all the speculation of Drive Tesla Canada. The actual factual story is just the patent on bit augmented arithmetic convolution. It does not specifically go into AI3, AI4, etc. And so on that note, I can't help but think that given the timing of this, I could easily see this being the result of the Tesla AI team, perhaps and probably quite likely at Elon's insistence, taking a first principles approach to trying to solve the AI3 bottleneck issue. Now, whether this actually results in AI3 cars being able to run unsupervised FSD certainly remains to be seen. And thus, it still remains to be seen whether or not the AI3 cars will still need to be physically upgraded, as Elon has previously suggested that they would need to be. However, before anybody out there gets too excited, and believe me, I'm one of them. I have an AI3 car with FSD paid in full on it. I would love for this to be a magic bullet solution. But I do think we got to remember that without Tesla specifically telling us, it is very possible that this might be more about future AI hardware revisions and compatibility, more so than AI 3 specifically. And the reason I say that is because Elon has made comments very recently that Tesla plans to be on a 9-month, yes, 9-month hardware upgrade cycle for AI chipsets, meaning 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8. They want to move super fast on this. And so that, to me, that's where I could see this patent coming into play and just helping bridge those gaps so that Tesla doesn't have to kind of go pencils down on one hardware just a few months after they've started working with it, right? They'll be able to continue to scale across all of it. So it remains to be seen whether or not this is going to be a magic bullet of sorts for the AI 3 cars, or whether this patent is more about the future AI chipset revisions. But either way, this is good news because good things should come of this for Tesla owners. Again, maybe just future Tesla owners on, again, AI 5, AI 6, AI 7, etc., versus existing Tesla owners like myself with AI 3, AI 4 cars. But this is still a good thing. Good news. Good things should come of this for Tesla owners. And my hope is that this is going to get asked about and or brought up and addressed on the earnings call coming up this week so that we can find out exactly what Tesla's plans for this are. And finally this week, in other EV news, this is significant. Canada has dropped its 100% tariff on Chinese EVs. One last tip of the cap to Drive Tesla Canada, along with a thank you to listener Andrew Hodson for sending this to me. And Drive Tesla Canada wrote, Canada is shifting gears on its approach to Chinese EVs, moving away from a 100% tariff that's been in place over the last 2 years. Following talks in Beijing, Ottawa has agreed to a tariff quota system that reopens limited access to Chinese-built EVs, lowering duties dramatically, but while still keeping overall volumes capped. Under the agreement, Canada will allow up to 49,000 Chinese-made EVs per year to enter the country at a 6.1% tariff, matching the standard duty that applied to vehicles imported from China prior to the implementation of the 100% tariff. The annual import cap would rise to 70,000 vehicles by the 5th year of the agreement. The federal government also said that as part of the deal, it anticipates, in quotes, that 50% of these 70,000 vehicles, quote, will be affordable EVs with an import price of less than $35,000, end quote. According to Prime Minister Mark Carney, this quota-based structure is designed to reopen the market without triggering a sudden surge of imports, emphasizing that the cap represents less than 3% of Canada's annual auto sales. Well, Tesla might be an American company, and Giga Texas and the Fremont factory here in California are a heck of a lot closer to Canada than Giga Shanghai is, but this absolutely opens the door for Tesla to take advantage of this by importing a bunch of Shanghai-built cars to Canada. And why would Tesla do that? Well, because the tariff for US-built cars is 25%, meaning if Tesla wanted to send cars to Canada for sale from Fremont and Texas, it's a 25% tariff versus this 6.1% tariff on the Chinese-built vehicles. So 4 times difference on that tariff for Tesla if they bring over Shanghai-built cars to Canada versus US-built cars. Now, here's some good extra context from Drive Tesla Canada, who notes, official government communications indicate that 49,000 vehicles can be imported in year 1, rising to $70,000 by year 5. The agreement also states that by year 5, 50% of imported vehicles will have an import price below $35,000. Based on what's been released so far, this appears to be a phased-in agreement, meaning that in years 1 and 2, the share of sub-$35,000 vehicles will likely be significantly lower, gradually increasing to year 5's 50%. And finally, even under these limits, Tesla would still have room to import a meaningful number of Model 3s, at least 24,500, and potentially far more in the early years. And so as you can tell there, that is good news for Tesla. The bad news for Tesla, but good news for Canadian consumers who will have more choices in the marketplace, is that this obviously opens the door for BYD and other Chinese EV makers to enter the Canadian market. As I talked about on the podcast recently, Tesla's sales in Europe are down, due no doubt in large part to BYD and other Chinese EVs coming into that market. But hey, competition's good. It pushes all the companies involved in that competition to make their products better and price them more competitively. So even if Canada isn't a huge auto market overall, and I had to look it up, they're certainly not huge compared to the US or Europe, and Canada ranks between 8th and 13th worldwide in auto sales in a given year. This is still going to be a very interesting situation to see how it plays out for Tesla in terms of increasing their sales there, but also Chinese EVs coming into Canada and seeing what kind of foothold those can get. All right, that is everything in an incredibly busy week of Tesla news and other EV news. And now we move next to the Ride the Lightning hotline, where you get a chance to call in and potentially be featured here on the podcast. If you've got a question, comment, or discussion topic for the podcast, give me a call on the Ride the Lightning hotline. There are 2 ways to do it. Neither one costs you a dime. Either use your smartphone's built-in voice recording software. Just record your question, and I kindly ask that you keep it to 90 seconds or less so I can get to as many calls each week as possible. And then email that file to me at teslapodcast@gmail.com. Or you can take that same 90-second or less question and give me a call anytime toll-free at 1-888-989-8752. That number again, 1-888-989-TSLA. And by the way, the Ride the Lightning hotline is kindly provided by my friends at lifeonrecord.com. If you know someone special out there with an upcoming birthday, anniversary, graduation, or some other special occasion, you can give them a unique gift of recorded voices from friends and family telling them why they're special. The recordings can be podcasted like I do with them or put onto a keepsake. Visit lifeonrecord.com to learn more. And I've got 5 excellent calls lined up and ready to go for you in this week's Ride the Lightning hotline. Let's get it started with Tyler from the greater Boston area commenting on FSD going subscription only.
Hi, Ryan. Tyler calling from greater Boston. I have your thorough segment on the season of FSD outright purchases last week. You touched on unsupervised versus supervised briefly towards the end. And as you know, Tesla changed their FSD sales to be just supervised a couple of years ago. Prior to that, I think it's safe to assume they were selling unsupervised FSD. I want to get your thoughts on how this difference will play out. Personally, I think there's a huge difference. I agree with you that both groups deserve a one-time transfer anytime to a newer capable hardware to get the full functionality that they purchased. Although I don't think Tesla is going to give lifetime unsupervised access to the recent supervised FSD buyers. I think this difference in value will actually cause 2 tiers of subscriptions in the near future. And this will be kind of a similar transition to enhanced autopilot to FSD. Potentially just for a short time, and in order to honor the functionality that people have bought in recent years of supervised FSD. I think they'll need a very clear tier of what that is. And the key difference, of course, would be, just paying attention in the driver's seat. That will be the core difference between supervised and unsupervised. I'm curious your thoughts. Do you think they'll have these multiple subscriptions, or do you think it's just going to be a single FSD subscription, which will eventually transition to be unsupervised, and no matter when you bought it outright, you get that for the lifetime of your vehicle or transferred vehicle? As always, keep up the great work and appreciate your shows.
Tyler, thank you for your call. I've seen this question pop up a lot over the past week, and as I was talking about earlier in the podcast, I think it's a very valid one. To anybody that's already purchased FSD outright at whatever price, like I was saying earlier, I think those people have to get unsupervised FSD because that's what was promised when they bought it. Tesla only recently added the supervised tag in parentheses to the design studio language. As I said, I think Tesla would probably have a big lawsuit on their hands if they tried to make the people who bought FSD pay an additional monthly fee for unsupervised FSD access. I mean, heck, on a somewhat funny related note, Elon's tweet about being able to summon your car from anywhere that isn't separated by a body of water. Well, that tweet was going around again this week to, in a tongue-in-cheek way, because it was the 10th anniversary of that tweet. Yes, it was from 2016. And the reason I say that is just to remind you how far back these promises go, and thus why it's important for people that have already paid for FSD to get unsupervised once it's finally ready. But to your immediate question of whether or not this move to subscription only opens the door to a more expensive unsupervised tier, again, I kind of covered it earlier, but yes, it absolutely does. Do I hope Tesla does it? No. Like I was saying, $100 a month, still a lot of money for most people. I hope it's $100 for unsupervised, $50 for supervised, and that's where it sticks. That said, the market has not been set for this yet, since there's no one that's achieved it in a car that you can purchase and own. So if Tesla is the first company to get there, as it seems like they will be, it remains to be seen what the market will be willing to pay for it. Maybe Tesla will make a killing selling unsupervised at $200 a month and supervised at $100 a month. Maybe unsupervised will be $150. Or maybe, as I was saying, maybe there won't be a market above $100 a month, and maybe, just maybe, it leads to the outcome I'm hoping for. Unsupervised for the same $100 a month, and supervised goes down to $50 a month. We shall see. And in fact, the very next hotline call that I listened to after this one this week, I'll give him a shout out, Marshall in Atlanta, who suggested this very thing and also made the good point that one of the tranches, as I was talking about earlier in the podcast, one of those tranches in Elon's big new pay package includes fulfilling the objective of Tesla getting 10 million active FSD subs. So that would seemingly be another incentive for Elon to add another tier. And again, optimistically, maybe even an incentive to lower the price of supervised. But yeah, I think the elimination of the FSD purchase option 100% opens the door to another tier of FSD subscriptions. It's going to be interesting to see how all this plays out. Take care, Tyler. Thank you again for your call. Let me go next to Daniel from Peterborough in the UK.
Hi there, it's Daniel here from Peterborough in the UK. I just want to say a massive thank you, Ryan, to your podcast every week. Absolutely love listening to it from the UK and learn lots of new things, and just great to be part of the community. Couple of quick questions. The first one is to do with the FSD, so full self-driving. We appreciate that's going to be going in the US to subscription only. And I just want to find out if there's any news at all about it going to subscription only for the UK, even though we can't actually physically use it in the UK yet. But more importantly, I want to find out if EAP, so Enhanced Autopilot, will that be coming to the UK as well as a subscription? And then the second one is, just want to relate back to your guy that was mentioning about the knocking noise on his Model Y. I have the same thing. I've been back to Tesla 4 times. Had the guy that comes out to the Ranger to come out and try and fix the car. Had no luck at all, I'm afraid. Still having this knocking noise issue, and is still being investigated. So anybody got any hints and tips, I really would appreciate it. And that's it. But just let me know what your thoughts are around EAP subscription for the UK. We really appreciate it. And thanks again for all your support and guidance with the Tesla world. All the best. Bye-bye.
Daniel, thank you for the call and the kind words. You've brought up another good question that Tesla has yet to answer. And again, this is why announcing policy changes in 2-sentence tweets in the middle of the night on the CEO's personal account isn't necessarily the best way to do things, because it leaves a lot of customers confused and or leaves them with valid, unanswered questions. But anyway, Daniel, I'm afraid that the answer is unfortunately no. I don't have any news about whether or not the UK or any other regions will see pricing structure changes to FSD or enhanced autopilot. We need the company to clarify this for all of us. Hopefully they will do that on this week's earnings call. Appreciate you calling in. Next up, we go to Jojo the Otter from Seattle, responding to Officer Greg from last week.
Hi, Ryan. This is Jojo the Otter, south of Seattle, Washington. I just listened to the podcast. You may have gotten a few calls about this already, and maybe it's helpful, maybe it's not. And I heard the call in from the law enforcement officer about the dash cam situation. And this is kind of a it's not the most practical solution. Obviously, there should be a better solution that's implemented from Tesla. But if you actually just tap the icon of the camera on your dashboard on the main screen, if you have it there, I think it actually will save like the last 10 minutes or something like that automatically when you press that. Or if you have it set to record after honking the horn, that will also record. I think it's the last 10 minutes. Now, obviously, if you've been in an accident, especially a very serious accident, you're not going to just be like, oh, hold on, I got to honk the horn and, record the last 10 minutes so I have some footage about this accident. But it sounded like that this accident wasn't too detrimental in the fact that, the airbags didn't go off, so it might not have been quite the worst accident. But, and obviously if you're just in an accident, it might not be the first thing to occur to you to pop up in your mind to, honk the horn or press the button or whatever. But, in the event that something like this happens and you are right of mind and wish to be sure, those are some options for you. Hope this helps. Thank you for the podcast. Thank you for your work at IGN. I appreciate all that you do for us. Obviously give some pets and kisses to the puppy dogs, and take care of yourself. Thank you. Happy New Year.
Thank you for mentioning this. You're absolutely right, of course. This is one of those times where my brain just got ahead of me. When I was responding to Officer Greg's call, I was thinking about it being well after the fact, that it should have just had the last 10 plus minutes, might even be more, on the thumb drive or SSD drive, whatever you got in there. But you're right. It's a good reminder that if you think to, because I can imagine there's probably a lot going through your mind if you've just been in an accident, even a minor one, to tap that dash cam icon on your screen to save the last 10 minutes of footage to your thumb drive or SSD for your insurance company and for the police. Cheers. Thank you so much. Next up is Steve from Austin.
Hi, Ryan. This is Steve from Austin. I've been a listener and an occasional contributor since episode 200. I look forward to Sunday mornings when you post the next episode. Keep up the great work. There's a couple of things I wanted to share with you. First, I haven't heard this mentioned on any other EV media outlets, but this keeps popping up here in Austin. There's a Texas state law that requires all vehicles to come to a complete stop when a school bus turns on their flashing lights and puts out the stop signs. Waymo taxis keep ignoring this at $200 per violation. The Austin Independent School District keeps asking Waymo to limit their activities during hours when the buses run, and Waymo's response has been to recall the fleet and apply a software update. Yet this keeps happening. Here's a link to the report from one of the local TV stations, although this story has been in the local paper as well. Also, we picked up a new Model Y in September. I was told that if I specified my desire to pick it up at the Austin Gigafactory, I would get a factory tour. What I actually got was a typical delivery experience. I know that because I bought a Model 3 a month earlier. The only difference is that it was at the Gigafactory's delivery center. If I knew that in advance, I would have picked a delivery center closer to me. Thanks for the great podcast, Ryan. I'm looking forward to next Sunday.
I appreciate your kind words, Steve. Thank you so much. Let me start with the second thing. It is a bummer that you're not getting a factory tour. You should. It would cost Tesla very little to do that, and it would be a great way for the company to better connect with the local community in the city where, by the way, as we all know, their corporate headquarters is. They moved it to Austin, so that's their corporate headquarters. So I'm with you. Congrats on the 2 new Teslas, though. That's awesome. Now, to your comment about Waymo's violating Texas state law, I will confess that I had not heard about this until hearing your call and reading your email. And so here is a report for the benefit of me and everybody listening on this topic from the local NBC affiliate in Austin.
Video this evening from this week showing Waymo driverless cars still failing to properly stop for Austin school buses as they load students.
KXAN investigator Kelly Wiley sits down with the district's police force as they renew calls for Waymo to temporarily stop operating for large parts of the day.
In the new year, video shows Waymo autonomous vehicles still failing to properly stop for school buses, weeks after the company voluntarily recalled and updated its software following our reporting. In this video from December 19th, a Waymo vehicle rolls past a stopped school bus, picking up students at a southeast Austin apartment complex. The bus stop arm is out, and kids are here on the sidewalk preparing to cross the street. The same clip also shows the Waymo just before passing the bus, also failed to stop for an adult and child trying to cross the street to get on the bus.
The bus is approaching.
Austin ISD Assistant Chief Travis Pickford is leading the district's effort to resolve the issues with Waymo.
Regardless of what Waymo says is their safety record, I believe, and the district believes, that our students are less safe when a Waymo vehicle is around one of our buses.
In a statement, a Waymo spokesperson told us the company has seen material improvements in performance since its software updates, and that it's reviewing what it learned after meeting and collaborating with Austin ISD. The company went on to say its vehicles have 12 times fewer crashes involving injuries to pedestrians compared to human benchmarks. Just last semester, Austin ISD said it issued more than 7,000 citations to drivers. 23 citations went to Waymo. Videos showing Waymo's most recent infractions also show multiple other cars illegally passing school buses. Earlier this year, district police arrested the man they believe was driving this truck that nearly hit a small child as they tried to get off the bus.
Why the concern about Waymo specifically?
The data that we collected from the beginning of the school year until the end of the semester shows that about 98% of people who receive one violation do not receive another. And that tells us that the person is learning, but it does not appear as though the Waymo automated driver system is learning through its software updates, through its recalls or what have you, because we're still having violations all the way up until last Monday.
What's the ask from AIC?
We're staying by our original ask, and that's for them to stop operating Waymo vehicles, a 4-hour block in the morning and a 4-hour block in the afternoon when our buses are out there dropping off and picking up our students.
We also reached out to Atlanta Public Schools, where Waymo also operates. The Georgia School District told us it's issued just 6 violations to Waymo over passing school buses since last May. In Austin, Kelly Wiley, KXAN Investigates.
So yeah, that's pretty not great for Waymo. They need to fix it. I mean, it's an evolving thing. It's not going to be perfect right away. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, but they do need to fix it. Their response being, well, our vehicles are 12 times less likely to get in accidents or whatever, that's dodging the issue. The cars are not following the law. On the other hand, the school district's police department's request for Waymo to just not operate for 8 hours a day, come on, that's unrealistic. The more realistic request is for Waymo to fix the issue. And Tesla, by the way, well, they need to be paying attention to this if they're not already, because once the safety monitors come out of all of the robotaxis in Austin, they're going to get scrutiny if they mess this up too. So Waymo, your service rocks. I've used it many times. I love it, but this is a problem that needs fixing. I'm sure they're on it, but hopefully they're going to be resolving this soon. Thank you, Steve, for bringing this to my attention. I've got time for one more call this week. It comes from Adam in Southern Maryland.
Hello, Ryan. This is Adam from Southern Maryland with a feature request. I still like to be a gentleman and open the passenger door for my wife. But by the time I get around to the driver's door, just before I go to grab the handle, the car will relock itself, which of course folds the mirrors, which then they have to unfold as soon as I grab the driver's door handle to unlock the car again, thus creating a lot of unnecessary wear and tear on that mechanical component. So what I'd like to request is something akin to the Joe mode, a toggle button, let's call it the gentleman mode, where it gives me 3 more seconds of time to allow me to close the passenger door and still get around to the driver's door without the car locking, thus avoiding that unnecessary wear and tear. Love what you do with the podcast. Keep up the great work and give the puffs a scratch for me.
Adam, I am so glad that you called in about this, because I have this happen to me all the time as well. I always do the same for my wife. Chivalry's not dead. And really, it is mildly annoying. Like, I realize there are far, far more annoying things in life, and this is such an incredibly minor annoyance, but it does seem like an avoidable one nevertheless. And I was curious, I've followed back up with Adam on email to ask him what Tesla he has. And he came back to me and said that he's got a 2024 Model 3. And that made a lot of sense, because in my 2 cars, the Gen 1 Model 3 and the Gen 2 Model 3, one of them has this same issue and the other one doesn't. And it is, like Adam's, it's the 2024, it's the new one, it's the Highland, which has ultra-wideband support so that it can more precisely track the phone key's location. So I suspect that's what's causing this quote-unquote problem, where we open the door for our spouse on the passenger side and then walk around the car, but by the time we get around the car, the ultra-wideband has sensed that the key has moved far enough away where it locks the car. So I think that's probably what's happening. So Adam, I would respectfully and politely say that I don't think we really need gentleman mode. We just need Tesla to just give us a little bit more grace period on the locking down the car after opening the passenger door. Like, just give us like 5 more seconds or something, or 10 more feet, whatever, whether it's a distance thing or a time thing. That to me seems like the solve here, because I do agree it's unnecessary wear and tear on the folding of the mirrors and shutting the car down. And then, so I'm with you all the way on this, Adam. Thank you so much for calling in about it. Hopefully somebody from Tesla's listening to this episode and they can address this in a future software update. Thank you to everybody that kindly took the time to call in this week. I will get to more of the Ride the Lightning hotline calls, of course, in upcoming episodes. And if you'd like to call in, maybe you want to respond to something I said, something that one of the other callers said, I gave you the 2 call-in methods and the instructions for those at the top of this segment, so refer back to that. And now we come towards the end of the podcast. We come to the part where I tell you about what's going on with me and my car. Well, I am happy to say that in the Soul of Adventure, my AI4 car, I managed to round up. I am now at 98% FSD usage since version 14.2. And again, to kind of do the Ryan thing of zooming out to the 10,000 foot view, if you told me 2-3 years ago that I would be using FSD 98% of the time, given the fact that I live in San Francisco and I've talked a lot about how San Francisco's not an easy place for FSD, I probably would have, it's not that I wouldn't have believed you, but I would have been really impressed that like, wow, it's gotten that good that it works reliably in San Francisco. That's awesome. And sure enough, that is pretty well where we are. Not that there aren't problems. There's actually, I have one, that on-ramp light I think I was talking about last week. It's repeatable. If I'm car number 1, the light for this on-ramp for the freeway goes green. The car goes for like half a second and then sticks the brakes and just stops. It's not great. And I've been reporting it with the voice thing every single time. But anyway, FSD has gotten super good. And it's pretty crazy that I'm up to 98%. I know there are people with higher. I know that I'm not trying to brag or flex or anything like that. I'm pretty impressed at the software that I'm at 98%. That's cool. Entertainment recommendation for you this week. There's a new Game of Thrones show on the air. The first episode has aired as of this recording. It's called A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and it's clearly kind of more of a comedy. It's not like an outright comedy, but it's leaning more into humor, and I'm intrigued so far. So I would, if you enjoy Game of Thrones. If you don't, I don't know, you're probably not going to get anything out of this, but if you enjoyed any of the Game of Thrones stuff that's been on HBO so far, give it a look. It's definitely different. I'll give it that. Time for your pro tip of the week. It comes from Brett in Washington State.
Hi, Ryan. This is Brett from Washington State. I think this is like a little PSA for people. There's been a lot of different information out in the media about some different accidents involving different Tesla cars. One of the things that came up in those accidents, that many times the accident may or may not be severe enough that the low voltage battery clips out, which means your normal way to get out of the car by pushing the button clearly doesn't work. I think many people know that if you're in most of our cars, there's an emergency handle in the front. It's pretty obvious because you have to tell people not to do it because they do it by accident. But in the rear seat, it's not as obvious. And I have a Model S, and I went back and tried to look where mine was, and if it wouldn't have been for a YouTube video, I couldn't find it because it was clear up underneath my seat. And I realized this is on a 22 Model S. My 17 Model S, I think it was all mechanical, so it wasn't an issue. I see the Model Y is yet at another place, and these all could very well be year dependent, model year of the car, as much as the type of the car. So I really want to make sure people realize where that is, make sure that other passengers know where they are. You may want to do something to make it more obvious, because in a couple of these accidents that have been pretty severe, there were serious fire, and because of that fire, people couldn't exit the car because they couldn't figure out how to exit the car. So the bottom line is, if you have the safest car in the world, you survive the accident, but can't get out of the car. It's kind of like, what's the point? So I'm hoping people really take a look at that and make sure you know where these emergency releases are. Thanks a lot, Ryan.
Thanks, Brett. This is good to point out. So yes, this is a good PSA, which I'm going to count as a pro tip. I'm going to count it. Tesla is supposedly redesigning this now, but that doesn't affect all of us with Teslas already. In the Model 3, for instance, the new one and the old one, the back door manual releases are at the bottom of the door pocket. In the case of my 2018, that car came with rubber door pocket inserts, like if you're putting a drink or something in there. So you have to pull out that insert. Now, it does just come right out easily. It's not adhered or fastened in at all. And then pull the manual release. In the new Model 3, it's all carpeted in that door pocket, and Tesla doesn't put those rubber door pocket inserts in there from the factory anymore. So you can just reach right in and pull the manual release lever. I appreciate you calling in with this. And if anybody else out there has a good Tesla or EV pro tip of the week, please call in with it. I'd love to hear it because I love sharing the information with everybody. I love adding to my own Tesla and EV knowledge base because we as a community, we collectively know a lot of stuff, and it's nice to share that information so we can all learn and all just enjoy our cars a little bit more. I gave you the call-in instructions earlier on, so if you're sending in a pro tip, you just send it in the same way that you send in a regular Ride the Lightning hotline call. Before I go, I want to mention a few friends of Ride the Lightning, starting with a new friend, RPM Tesla. They've been around longer than this podcast has been, which I think on its own is pretty impressive. RPM Tesla specializes in OEM-style Tesla upgrades, focusing on carbon fiber, interior enhancements, and functional accessories that integrate seamlessly with factory designs. And in turn, they're all about compatibility, meaning that their accessories don't compromise Tesla's design language, safety systems, or functionality. They design lots of stuff in-house, like all of their steering wheel upgrades for the yoke and round grip. They prioritize quality over speed, so you're not getting cheap junk. Speaking of cheap, though, you can buy with confidence, as RPM Tesla offers free returns, no restocking fees, and lifetime warranties. They feature over 500 DIY installation videos to make installation quick. Many companies sell lower quality products and charge a 25% restocking fee if you don't like something. RPM does not do that, as they only sell the best high-quality accessories, over 1,500 of them since 2013. They're family-owned, located in Southern California. They also continually refine their designs based on actual customer feedback. In all, RPM Tesla is about enhancing your Tesla ownership experience, elevating what's already awesome about your car. Check them out at rpmtesla.com and use the promo code RTL10+. And that's the literal symbol plus, RTL10+, for 10% extra off of your next order. Yes, 10% extra. That's combined with their current discounted sales prices. This is an exclusive promotion only here on Ride the Lightning. That's rpmtesla.com. Check them out. Don't forget about my friends at abstractocean.com, which I would basically equate to like the Amazon of Tesla aftermarket accessories. They've got so much stuff, you are bound to find useful things. You know, from sometimes at this point of the show, I'll go on abstractocean.com and just click around and see what they've got. This time, I will mention kind of some of their most popular stuff. The interior lighting kits in various colors, I might add. The exterior lighting kits like puddle lights with the TES LA logo or the Tesla T logo. Stuff like that. The tempered glass screen protectors that are custom fit for the Tesla screens. Those are super great. Just, there's so much great stuff. A lot of Cybertruck specific accessories for you Cybertruck owners out there. You gotta just check them out, abstractocean.com, and use the coupon code RTLPodcast, all one word, no spaces, at checkout to get 15% off of your first order. How about the Snap Plate? They offer a discount for Ride the Lightning listeners as well, which is super nice of them. Go to their website at everyamp.com/RTL. And then, once you've picked out everything you like and have it in your online shopping cart, use the coupon code RTL for a discount. And you might be asking, well, what am I getting a discount on? It's the front license plate bracket, that I prefer. It's called the Snap Plate, or the newer, stronger Snap Plate Plus. They're available on all the Teslas, plus lots of other EVs as well. So if you've got a Rivian, you've got a Bolt, whatever you got a Cadillac Lyriq maybe, check them out. Check out the Snap Plate. It's a nice, again, just nice minimal design. It doesn't get in the way of the front bumper camera on any of the Teslas, anything like that. And if you want to take it off for whatever reason, maybe you're detailing the car, maybe you just don't want it on there at a time for whatever reason, it's not going to leave any unsightly hardware behind versus the front license plate mounting bracket that Tesla gives you with your car that sticks to the front of your car with automotive tape. Yikes, not good. Don't put that on. Use a Snap Plate or the newer, stronger Snap Plate Plus. Again, get yours at everyamp.com/RTL and use the coupon code RTL as well for a discount. Immaculate Reflections. If you're in or going to be in the greater San Francisco Bay Area with your Tesla, other EV, or other car that you love, make an appointment ahead of time, because he does book up, he gets busy. Make an appointment ahead of time at Immaculate Reflections to get some professional detailing work done on your car, whether that's ceramic coating that'll keep your car protected from the sun's UV rays, keep that surface nice and slick for the next 5+ years. In my case, on the 2018, it was 7 years. I've got an appointment coming up in just a couple weeks to go get the next 7 years worth of ceramic coating on that car at Immaculate Reflections. Maybe you want paint protection film on the front of the car or the sort of key impact areas like the bumpers, the rocker panels, maybe even all of the car, which is what I did because I'm crazy, but I don't regret it at all. I am thrilled to have every inch of my both cars covered in PPF applied by a professional detailer, Immaculate Reflections, which means you literally cannot tell it's there. You will not tell. Unless I tell you, which I've just told you, you wouldn't know it's there. Or maybe you want to do paint correction and get all the little micro scratches and flaws in the clear coat. Get all that taken out. Get your paint surface looking as good as it possibly can. Any of that, all of that, get it done at Immaculate Reflections. Again, if you're in or going to be in the greater San Francisco Bay Area, reach out through the website, which is irdetailing.com. You'll see the contact buttons right in the middle of the page, also the upper left corner of the page. And when you reach out to discuss what you want to do with your car, make sure to mention that you're a Ride the Lightning listener, and any service that you have done, you will be kindly extended the Ride the Lightning listener discount, which I'm going to be taking advantage of in a couple weeks. Finally, my Patreon, I talked about it a bit earlier, but I'll mention it again here. Patreon.com/Tesla Podcast. That is the primary way through which you can choose to support this podcast if you like. And my hope is that I do earn your support sooner or later. Maybe the time has come. Maybe this is the week where you're like, you know what, Ryan? Yes, put me down for $5 a month. And I'll take that early access. I'll take that ad-free. Maybe you go, you know what? Put me down for the $10 a month, which is the most popular tier, because then you'll get the ad-free, the early access, and all of those weekly lightning round mini episodes that I post exclusively on Patreon. All the information can be found at patreon.com/Tesla Podcast. There's a 7-day free trial specifically on that most popular $10 per month tier. And there's also an annual pledge option. If you don't want to do a monthly thing, but you're willing to just, you know what, Ryan, yes, I want to support you, but I just want to support once, just pay once. There's an annual pledge option at any tier. And if you do that, I give you a 10% discount on that annual pledge as my way of thanking you for your year of support. Finally, if you are not already following this podcast on one of the major podcast services, I encourage you to do so. It's free, and it just means that you'll get a push notification on your device anytime there's a new episode, which, of course, for this podcast is every Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific. So just search Ride the Lightning Tesla on any of the big ones, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, YouTube Podcasts, etc. You should see this podcast pop right up, and just click that follow button, and that's it. You're done. Finally, you can follow me on a couple of different social media platforms. I'm on X and I'm on Instagram. I have the same username on both, so I am found at DMC_Ryan if you'd like to follow me on either of those. You can email me anytime about Tesla or EV-related things at teslapodcast@gmail.com. Last but certainly not least this week is giving the shout out and hello to the top tier Patreon backers. I'm so grateful to these folks for their very, very generous and continued support in helping keep this podcast going. I'll start with the Roadster in Space tier backers, the tippy top tier. Big thanks to Pete White, Lyle Austin, Steve Radspinner, Fernando Cordero, Lawton from Chicago, Sean Neidig, Neil Weaver, Jackson Wallace, Rolf and Jennifer Evers, Howard Anthony Smith, Victoria Iacovetto, Tesla Hitchhiker 42, Carol Weston, Robert from near Philly, American Home Contractors, Doug Carey, Michael Gallo, and Tony Figueroa. Next up, the Maximum Plaid backers. Thank you and hello to Jonathan Wales, Cameron Clark, Daniel Grummer, Seth Capello, Nick and Tony, the Galpin family, Ryan from New York City, Darren Nickel, Kaz Barnes, Patrick Wisniewski, Gil Cabrera, Todd Badger, Joe Edgel, Kevin Yank, the Tesla Owners Club of San Joaquin Valley, Will Stedman, Jeremy Harris, Chris Beach, Tom Mills, Corey O'Donnell, Aaron, John Cody, Joel Sapp, Paul Casarino, Chris Osborne, KB, Adam Lavoie, Jason Chalukas, Travis Krenzel, Bruce Otterstein, Tom Behan, Josh Pennington, John from Cream Ridge, New Jersey, Dustin Hart, Derek Finley, Charles Clement, Damon Klein, Jeff Brown, Jerry Slinger, Kenneth Corbett, Brian Bertoglio, Kim Bay, Troy Sievers, Chip Hooper, Matt Chinander, Robert Moran, Rav, Christopher Mann, Michael Williams, and Eric Harbert. And last but certainly not least, the grandfathered and plaid level supporters. Thank you and hello to George Cassiopo, Logan Willis, Peter Chalet, Eric Randolph, Dory and Steve Guberman, the Tesla Owners Club of Taiwan, Ron Lee, Charlie Gillespie, Jeff Angwin, Chase Cabanillas, the Lydia family, Aaron Altschul, Jared Brown, Jerome Strack, Jamie Dalton, Mike and Barbara from Louisville, Matt Nixon, the Tesla Owners Club of Wisconsin, Ish, not Elon Musk in quotes, Peter, and the Bear Boys of Colorado. And that will wrap it up for another long episode. Man, we cleared 90 minutes this week. There was so much to talk about. And next week's going to be a big one too, with the earnings call. Those earnings call recap and highlights episodes are always big ones. So it'll be a sprint for me. It always is. It's a little bit of a crunch, but it's always fun in the end. So I'm looking forward to doing that, seeing what we hear from Tesla, from the executive team about what's going on with the company, what's coming up. And that'll do it. This was Ride the Lightning episode 547 for Lily the Silly Labrador puppy and a snoozing Daisy the Boxer. My name, of course, is Ryan McCaffrey. Happy electric motoring, my friends, and I'll see you back here next week.
Elon Musk, people don't like Elon Musk. The guy founded PayPal and Tesla, and people are like, yeah, but he's a troll and a bad dad. I'm like, so was mine. He did nothing to fight climate change. Also, have you been in a Tesla? Have you been in a Tesla? My buddy let me drive his Tesla. I laughed out loud at how fast it went. Been clinically depressed my entire life, on dozens of medications, in a Tesla for 13 seconds, cured forever.
I mean, I think a Tesla is the most fun thing you could possibly buy ever. That's what it's meant to be. Our goal is to make it's not exactly a car. It's actually a thing to maximize enjoyment. It's maximum fun.